Welcome to the show. I'm just testing the stream right now, man. I haven't been able to stream. I can record my videos and then download them, but I haven't been able to stream as of yet. Let me see what's going on with this right here. We're gonna let it go for a few minutes and see if it's any glitching or anything like that. Let me switch to my close-up scene. Any glitching, moving back and forth. Let me see if it's happening. Come on, let's see. All right, it's moving. All right, we seem to be good. That's what's up. Made a couple of adjustments. Handy YouTube, of course, helped me out. Give me 1 second. I'm gonna go to. I'll be right back. Y'all just come in, relax. I'm gonna start a Zoom or something. All right, my bad. I had to handle some business. Where we at with it? Screen capture. Okay. So I pointed out in this video right here that there's anomalies that's appearing behind the sun. And all of this studying of this video and 24-hour, and nobody's really paying attention to the video. Nobody's paying attention to the video to make it's like they're not studying what the sun is doing. They're just paying attention to the fact that it's a 24-hour sun. I don't know why that's a big deal. Everybody knows it's a 24-hour sun in the north and in the south. I don't know a flat earther in my circle that believe that there was no 24-hour sun, because based on the map, the azimuth map, it literally states it at the bottom of it when it's talking about the transition of the sun. It does make mention that there is no light beyond 80 degrees south, but you got to remember that Antarctica had just been discovered 1840s or so. I don't know how many expeditions had went there and reported it to a scientific some scientific faculty or scientific community or whatever, to be able to make these reports. I know that there have people that have been there, but I mean, to traverse it, to get the entire land outlay and all this, that, and the other, nobody done that. And by the time the Gleason map was produced was 1892. How much of that information would have made it on that map or made it to him by then? Nevertheless, the fact remains is that there are anomalies that appear that I subscribe to the possibility of there being evidence, this being evidence of a firmament. You see those? Look at this. I changed the contrast in my other video, anomalous evidence of the firmament. And you can see clearly that there are anomalies in the video that has nothing to do with lens flares. You see, look how the sun rays are canceled out. Canceled out, and look what you see. What is the sun? What is this behind? If the sun is in space, what is this behind the sun? Boom, boom. What is that behind the sun? Here it is appearing above as well. This is behind. This is above the sun, behind it. These apparitions that we're seeing here, here, here. You can see them lightly as they come into um as they cross the light of the sun. See that? Look, that we just wipe it off. We just write it off as atmospheric. Come on, man. Look at that. Look at that. It's canceling light, if you will. It's look at that. So the sun is in the southernmost region of its traversing. In the flat Earth model, I'm not sure. I'm a pyramid earther. I know the Earth is shaped like a pyramid. I know that the Earth is in three parts. It's water, sea, and land. I mean, air, sea, and land. Atmosphere, land, and ocean. Right? There's no. It's not one whole piece. It's a conglomerate of things that makes it Earth. So the globe Earth, it puts the atmosphere as the globe, the ground as the globe, the water as the globe. Everything is a globe, is globular in the globe model, which is a fallacy. It's a lie. There is no globe model that can produce a spinning ball that keeps water on its surface entirely. There is no globe model. There is no globe model that can produce a spinning ball that keeps water on its surface as it's spinning. There's none. Show me entirely. The amount of water that went to it stays. What? Why am I muted? Where am I muted at? It says you're muted. Am I muted? Mic check. Mic check. Okay, I'm not muted. Why did it say I was muted? Anyway, there is no globe model that has surface water as it's spinning intact. Sorry. Now, on the flat earth model, which I am not a flat earther, we hold similar understandings to the functionality of the earth, but we don't have the same, we don't hold the same position entirely. And I hold absolutely no position with the globe earth. Not one. I mean, it's crazy. It's crazy that this video can actually dictate whether the earth is a globe or flat. It's totally insane to me. But let's look at this video. All right. And I'm only using my video because I already distorted. I don't want to go through the power that it takes to stressed out my computer to change all of that. Look at that. Pay attention. I need an explanation for what is that appearing here. What is this? What is that? I have a theory. I believe that is evidence of the firmament. I'm not sure. And I leave that up to your discretion. Leave a comment. I would like to hear your position on what is this. It's not clouds. It's not the sun shining through clouds. It's not, no. This is something different. What see that? That right there, that shimmering. that shimmering of 4 and 5 different lights. And then this right here, when the sun transitions back to the south, or was it back north? Right now, it's supposedly right above them. It looks like it looks like it's a hologram or something. I don't want to say a hologram. It looks like, I don't know, what do you call that? Like, you know how you look in the sky and you see, look at this. It stretches the sun. Here. See that? These these apparitions is above the sun, behind it. These are lens flares. What stretched? What happened there? We can't put that on atmospheric. Atmospheric. Like, what, something, we can just tell me what happened atmospherically. We can put that on atmospheric, but what happened atmospherically? What is that up there? That there. See that over there? This looks like this is evidence of a firmament, bro. Y'all tripping. Whatever that is, the scripture says that the firmament, look, I even took it upon myself. I did a video yesterday, but it was too much, it was too choppy. I had a conversation with Chat GPT, right? And I was just curious. Is this what is it? Plasma transformation concept? Is that it? No. Sun matter absorption limits. Matter, high speed, electromagnetic. What is it? Is it this one? This one. No. Matter and light speed. No. Sapphire. There we go. So I I went through a couple of questions with Chat GPT because I had a hunch about something, right? Because it says, I remember in the Bible and in other extra biblical texts, right? Because I'm all over the place with it. We can have a conversation about anything. I learned a lot. Yeah, I've read books that you haven't. I know things that you don't. You may know some things that I don't and read some books that I haven't, but I know you haven't read what I have. And anyway, does sapphire have electromagnetic properties? It is stated that the firmament is made of it. So in the Bible, in the book of Enoch, in Second Esdras, and several other places, it is mentioned that the heavens is made of sapphire. The grounds, the streets is paved of sapphire. That's in New Jerusalem is gold, but I'm talking about in the heavens because it says the bottom of his feet, the pavement was sapphire, and his throne was made of sapphire. Right? It says the heavens is sapphire. These are literal words of the text. And if you know, I don't know if you know it or not, sapphire is blue, like the sky. Aluminum oxide with trace amount elements such as iron, titanium, cobalt, lead, chromium, vanadium, vanadium, magnesium, boron, silicone. Look at this. Look at this makeup. This is like a perfect uh insulation type, like when it comes down to inner like electricity and shit. Like I don't know. I can't even see. I just know something is with this, like iron, titanium, cobalt, lead. It's something with that. Magnesium. It's something with it. And it has to with and it has to do with an electromagnetic realm relation, if you will. Right? So this is sapphire. And I went through having a discussion with GPT. And I asked ChatGPT, I said, does sapphire have electromagnetic properties? It says, sapphire itself, a crystalline form of aluminum oxide, does have some electromagnetic properties, though they are not as pronounced as metals or materials typically associated with strong electrical conduction. Specifically, listen, specifically, sapphire is an insulator, meaning it doesn't conduct electricity well. However, it can interact with electromagnetic fields in certain ways, particularly in terms of light absorption and emission due to its optical properties. Light absorption. Then what I said, it says, this is the hunch, because when I'm looking at this video, right, and I'm seeing why is it's not refracting the total light of the sun. It's doing a great job at filtering out, right, the sun in this video. In that 24-hour video, the anomalies that are being shown here, it's doing just that. You see that? It's not reflecting the entire sun off. It's absorbing light, obviously. And if this is the firmament, like I said, I believe that, look, all of this down here, all of this is the sun. Maybe, and who knows if this is the sun right here? I don't know. You know what I'm saying? It could be a whole another source of light beaming, just like a laser, into one place right here. I don't know, because this right here changes the perspective of what mainstream academia teaches us. Obviously, you can't contribute that to nothing that's happening on Earth, because that's behind the sun. That's behind the sun. And the sun is supposedly in space. Boom. You see it coming? Passes behind, changes the aura, and the sun continues to traverse past it. It's clearly. And then the multiple projections or eminences of light that appears as in this 24-hour video as the sun traverses around the earth. I mean, it's clear that something is above the sun that is eating the light, or I don't even know what to call it. Like, it's refracting. It's not reflecting. It's absorbing. I mean, an insulator, just like it says. I mean, come on, brother. I don't know. I just want an answer from anybody with smarts to have an answer for that in this video. Forget the fact that it's a 24-hour sun. That's just stupid that everybody knows that. That's not even an argument of a flat earther. Well, I think the only argument that needs to be addressed by flat earthers, which I have a position, why does the sun appear more south? They are at Union Glacier. Union Glacier is about 2,000 miles above sea level. 2,000 feet above sea level, not miles, excuse me. 2,000 feet above sea level. And it's on a flat plane. Clearly, you can see it's a flat plane. Now, if they was to go traverse more southerly, they'll run into, mountains and the assumed firmament, right? Because look at the entire scenery. Look at this entire scenery here. I think they're like at 75 uh degrees latitude south. They didn't go to 80 degrees. And nor did they stay long. I'll notice they didn't stay long enough to even see the sun transition back to its normal. Like, why wouldn't you go on the day when the sun transitions back to its normal course? If you're a flat earther, wouldn't you want to have seen what that looks like? How is that recorded? Where's that data? How does it look from Union Glacier when the sun traverses back to its normal course? Because right here, it's at its southern solstice. It's at the highest altitude that it'll reach during its course in the flat earthers paradigm, right? Because it's an analemma. The analemma is dictating a circular movement, a spiral movement around the earth. It's only a snapshot. So we know that the sun is spiraling around the earth in a pyramid type fashion or a cone type fashion, an upside down cone type fashion. When it's in the south, it's at its highest, and it's at the farthest circle of its traversing. And then when it goes back to the Tropic of Cancer, it's at the lowest it would normally reach, which is around about 3,000 miles to 4,000 miles above the earth, according to the flat earth paradigm. And that's mine as well. I'll share that, something similar to that as well. So the idea that the sun would be closer to the firmament while it's in the southern solstice is plausible. Let's go back to ChatGPT and the answering the questions. So we figured out that sapphire is aluminum oxide and has a whole bunch of other metals in it, cobalt, and iron, and titanium, and all of that, right? So it says that materials typically associated with strong electrical conduction, it says that, it said it does has electromagnetic properties, though they are not pronounced as metals or materials typically associated with strong electrical conduction. Specifically, sapphire is an insulator, meaning it doesn't conduct electricity well. However, it can interact with electromagnetic fields in certain ways, particularly in terms of light absorption, which we witness, and emission due to its optical properties. Sapphire is transparent to many types of electromagnetic radiation. Listen what it says. Sapphire is transparent to many types of electromagnetic radiation, including visible light, and can exhibit some effects when subjected to high energy radiation. As for the idea that the firmament is made of sapphire, this belief may come from symbolic blah, 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 because this is what it does. So I can read it, though, just to be fair, just to see the entire dialogue between me and this damn AI. It said sapphire is transparent to many types of magnetic radiation, including visible light, and can exhibit some effects when subjected to high energy radiation. As for the idea that the firmament is made of sapphire, this belief might come from symbolic or mythological interpretations, such as in certain ancient texts. In biblical references, like in Exodus 24:10 and Ezekiel 1:26, the firmament is described as being like a sea of glass or something resembling crystal, which some interpret metaphorically as sapphire. In this context, the description may not refer to physical properties, but rather to symbolic purity, beauty, or permanence. Now, most idiots will say, aha, see, ChatGPT hit it on the nail. Hit the nail on the head. There's the answer. No. Let's continue. So he says, if you're referring to a more metaphysical or esoteric interpretation where sapphire is linked to the firmament, it would depend on the specific belief or philosophical context you're considering. You're trying to get me away from where I'm trying to go with this. You're doing it on purpose. I mean, it's just a design. So it says, I said, no, let's deal with the sapphire because the text states, unless the Hebrew render a greater understanding about the material mentioned in its original context. The ground or pavement was beneath the feet of God where sapphire, and the throne was made of sapphire. Said, I see. You're referring to biblical description in Exodus 24:10 and Ezekiel 1:26, where sapphire is mentioned as part of the imagery associated with the divine realm. Yeah, you knew I was talking about that. The text describes a vision where the Israelites were seen as paved, where the text described the vision where the Israelites see a paved surface beneath God's feet that is made of sapphire. And Ezekiel speaks of God's throne being made of sapphire as well. Now, what is sapphire? That blue, transparent to light. It's blue and it's transparent to visible light. It says, in these passages, sapphire is used as a metaphor for something pure, magnificent. This is conjecture it's designed to have this conjecture. That's not what I mean, who knows if it's telling the truth or not, seeing as though we just witnessed the anomaly behind a 24-hour sun video that's showing evidence of a firmament. What the hell? Let's continue. Historically, the understanding of materials like sapphire would have been more symbolic than scientific. The text may have been focused on sapphire, actual electromagnetic or physical properties, but rather its association with beauty. You see, that's BS, right? Because it purposely did not show us the text. I have to literally make it say, nah. Bring up the text. Watch. Optical properties of sapphire. It is a transparent material, meaning it allows light to pass through with minimal scattering, making it an effective material for lenses or optical devices. What? It also has a high refractive index, meaning it can bend light, creating a noticeable shimmer or glow when exposed to light. What did it do? What did it do? A noticeable glow or shimmer when exposed to light. What is that? What is it doing? That's not a cloud. Be idiotic if you like, but clearly that's not a cloud. Look at that. All of those. That y'all probably can't see it. I can see it on my computer screen. I don't know what type of pixelation you have. This is a high definition video. You can see the anomalies. Look at that. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 6 anomalies in one. See, these are shimmerings, glowing. When being exposed to light, this is a crystal, which is hypothesized as being, at this point, sapphire. Stop playing. Let's be for real. It's something. It's not nothing. That's something there. All right, let's go back to this here. So sapphire is a transparent material, meaning it allows light to pass through with minimal scattering, making it an effective material for lenses or optical devices. It also has a high refractive index, meaning it can bend light, creating a noticeable shimmer or glow when exposed to light. The electromagnetic properties of sapphire itself doesn't conduct electricity, as it's an insulator. But its structure could interact with electromagnetic fields in certain contexts. However, this interaction It's not necessarily prominent in everyday scenarios unless sapphire is involved in high energy environments, such as those that might occur in some forms of radiation or high frequency electromagnetic fields. Like what? The damn atmosphere, what we call space, which many believe to be a consolidated area above us. Confined space, fields, plasmas, a machine, if you will. Also, sapphire has thermal properties, known for high thermal conductivity, meaning it can transfer heat effectively. Meaning it can transfer heat effectively. This is useful in certain technological applications, though it doesn't necessarily relate to the firmament concept in the biblical text. It absolutely does. If you're thinking of sapphire's connection to the firmament in terms of metaphysical or symbolic significance, it's likely being portrayed as a solid, heavenly structure representing an unbreakable nature of the divine. As for electromagnetic properties in this context, one can speculate that sapphire's crystalline structure might represent a firm or stable barrier, but this would be more a symbolic or interpretive decision than a strictly scientific one. Yes, you always have to add this conjecture. It always have to add its so-called opinion, speaking for its creator or whatever, who's designing or whatever. Could you elaborate on how you are connecting these concepts? Are you interested in sapphires as a literal material, or is this more about its spiritual or metaphysical significance in relation to the firmament? I said, if the firmament were sapphire and the sun does come close to the firmament in my model, because I produced a model, I have a pyramid Earth model. There is and yeah, I have a pyramid Earth model, absolutely. And I'll release pieces as I show it. You'll see it as I show it. But anyway, the sun does come close. If the sun does come closer to the firmament in my model in the southern solstice, the sun should reflect a slight emanation on the firmament surface, but not shine. Correct? Yes. In your model, the firmament is made of sapphire. The sun's proximity during the southern solstice could result in a slight emanation on the firmament surface without it shining in the conventional sense. Since sapphire is transparent to visible light, but also has a high refractive index, light would interact with the surface in a way that might cause a subtle diffuse reflection as or scattering rather than direct shining or intense illumination. Boom. Chat GPT is no joke. Boom. Sapphire physical properties would allow light to bend and properly reflect or refract across the surface, but it would not necessarily emit light on its own, since it's not a luminescent material. Like what? The moon. Given the sun's position closer to the firmament during the southern solstice in your model, the light might be more diffused or softened as it interacts with the sapphire surface, creating a gentle glow or a sheen rather than a direct or intense shine. The firmament in this case could act almost like a reflective barrier or a surface that distributes light without glowing in a way that the moon or other luminous objects do. Can we go back to what it's doing? It just gave a perfect description. It just gave a perfect description of what we're seeing. It's giving a perfect description of what it's doing. Soft, sheen, refract, soft. Look at that. So subtle. Look at that. ChatGPT is no joke, man. Look at that. What is that doing? It goes behind the sun, comes out on the other side. The sun is passing it. Look at that. All around it, as the sun moves, it's causing it's creating these refractive eminences on the firmament. Here it is, right here, even north. You can still see them on the firmament, even north, way north, because that's where the sun is right there at that point. It was north. So the firmament in this case could act almost like a reflective barrier or a surface that distributes light without glowing in a way that the moon or other luminous objects do. This subtle emanation could suggest a reflective yet non-luminous barrier in your model. It would fit with the idea that the firmament is a solid, almost crystalline structure that interacts with the sun's electromagnetic field in a way that is visible, but not overly bright or overpowering. Would this align with your interpretation of the firmament in your model? Yes. Could this be the reason the sky appears to have two suns? I meant to say two suns. Yes, that is an interesting connection. See that? Yes, that is an interesting connection. Could this be the reason that the sky appears to have two suns in certain areas and at certain times of the year? Yes, that is an interesting connection. If the firmament were made of sapphire or some other reflective or refractive material, it could contribute to phenomena that make the sky appear to have multiple suns or light sources at certain times of the year. Here are a few ways this could be explained in context of your model. Reflection and refraction. Sapphire crystalline structure could cause light to bend or reflect in unusual ways. When the sun is near the firmament, especially around the time of the southern solstice, some of the light might be reflected or refracted back towards Earth in such a way that creates the illusion of an additional light source in the sky. This could appear as another sun or as halos, creating a visual effect of multiple sources of light. Atmospheric effects. The interaction of the sun's electromagnetic field with the noble gases and other atmospheric elements you've mentioned could also play a role. These gases, in combination with a reflective firmament, might scatter or direct light differently, producing optical illusions like sun halos or bright spots near the sun. The combination of the firmament's refractive properties and the sun's electromagnetic interactions could lead to multiple visual effects that make the sky appear as though there are more than one sun. Optical phenomena. In many cultures, optical phenomena like halos, sundogs, perihelia, or light reflections from clouds that may have been interpreted as signs of multiple suns or divine light or divine light. In your model, the reflective and refractive properties of sapphire, like firmament, could amplify or distort light natural light, making these optical phenomena more pronounced and causing them to appear as if there are two suns, especially at certain latitudes or during specific times of the year when the sun's position is closer to the firmament. Electromagnetic field interactions. The idea that the sun's electromagnetic field interacts with the atmosphere and noble gases could also play a role in creating unusual visual effects. When electromagnetic energy is concentrated or fluctuates, it could create unusual lighting effects that might look like additional light sources or reflections contributing to the appearance of multiple suns in the sky. So yes, the reflective and refractive properties of the sapphire firmament in combination with the sun's proximity and the atmospheric conditions could potentially explain why the sky might appear to have two suns or multiple light sources in certain areas and at certain times of the year. This might be seen in places where the sun angle and electromagnetic effects interact with the atmosphere in a way that creates this illusion. what is the Hebrew word for sapphire? I went through asking the word for sapphire, blah, 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 precious stone, biblical symbolism. I don't think that's necessary. You guys can look up all of that. And, as soon as you ask it something, it just go through all of the, this is what it means for these people. This is what it meant, sapphire. It's very important. It's a very important uh, um, stone. It's a very important stone. Here, let me see. It said, can I have a list of biblical and canonical verses in context with sapphire and the heaven or the ground of heaven of and firmament, blah blah blah. Right. So I went through asking, and it gave a few. It says, and I saw God, and they saw the God of Israel, and there was under his feet, as it was a paved work of sapphire stone, and as it were the body of heaven in his clearness. I don't know what type of visual y'all get. Sapphire. Why would the writer put sapphire as the ground of heaven and also sapphire as the vault of heaven or the vault of earth, the firmament? I mean, the intelligence behind it is like, and then the understanding what's really going on with the properties in space, these SEPs and, galactic uh radiations and all of these plasmas and energy transference, everything going through, like all of this that's going on, the sun, like it's a lot going on, a lot of electromagnetic interactions happening, frequency exchanges, and a lot of things is going on up there. And for them to put the perfect, like even anything close as sapphire to being the medium that kind of filters, or just, this is crazy. Like we use sapphire for lasers. And this is in the text, this is in the Exodus text. And they saw the God of Israel, and there was under his feet as it were a paved work of a sapphire stone, and as it were the body of heaven in his clearness. Right? In Ezekiel, and above the firmament that was over their heads was the likeness of a throne, as the appearance of a sapphire stone. And upon the likeness of the throne was the likeness as the appearance of a man upon it, a man above upon it. Right? So the firmament, and it says, and above the firmament that was over their heads was the likeness of a throne, and as the appearance of a sapphire stone. So Ezekiel's vision of the divine chariot, the Merkaba, includes a throne made of sapphire. This throne appears above the firmament, indicating a divine heavenly realm. The sapphire symbolizes purity, permanence, and divine majesty. This is Ezekiel 10:1. Then I looked and beheld in the firmament that was above the head of the cherubims, there appeared over them as it were a sapphire stone, as the appearance of the likeness of a throne. So that's in Ezekiel 10:1. We got Exodus 24:10, Ezekiel 1:26, Ezekiel 10:1. The firmament above them as the appearance of sapphire. So the firmament above is sapphire. The stones of it are the place of sapphires, and it have dust of gold. In Job's discourse on wisdom, he refers to the place where wisdom can be found as being adorned with sapphire. And this talks about the breastplates of the Israelites priests. Oh no, not that one. And they sat. This is Revelation 4:3. What did this one say? Solomon sapphire as beautiful element. Okay, the throne of God. And he sat, and he that sat was to look upon like jasper and a sardine stone. And there was a rainbow around about the throne in sight like unto an emerald. So I know that it didn't put all of the verses, right? So I went through, I asked it some questions, Isaiah, Sapphire, and New Jerusalem. O thou afflicted, tossed with tempest, and not comforted, behold, I will lay thy stones with fair colors, and lay thy foundations with sapphire. Right? So sapphire is everywhere, right? But what I told it is I noticed that it didn't, I knew some other verses, and I said, you didn't include non-canonical like Second Esdras and Enoch, Jasher, Quran, Sumerian scrolls, and Vedic. I remember reading about different stones and those things too. So I just wanted to just get an idea of how far um, sapphires were considered precious in cultures. But anyway, it says, you're right. There are additional non canonical sources as well as ancient texts and traditions that mention sapphire or similar stones in context relating to the heavens, firmament, and divine realms. Let's explore, right? And it says in Second Esdras, also known as Fourth Ezra, is a text that reflects apocalyptic visions, and includes symbolic imagery of the heavens. Second Esdras 7:26 through 28, it says, then he will show them the seal of his righteousness. He will show the seal of the righteousness in the firmament of heavens, which is the sapphire stone. So that's in the Apocrypha. In the book of Enoch, it says the book of Enoch, which is widely regarded as some early Jewish and Christian traditions, but is not included in canonical Bible, provides elaborate descriptions of the heavens, celestial bodies, and divine beings. It says in Enoch 1:14, 8 through 9, and I saw a tower raised, and on its top was in the heavens, and I saw the lightnings, and the sky was split, and I saw the firmament of the heavens shaken, and I saw angels in the heavens, and they were very beautiful, and their faces like sapphire, and their beauty like that of a great stone. So it's even in there, faces of the angels like sapphire. The firmament of the heaven was open, and the angels came down to the earth and showed themselves in fiery chariots. Fiery chariots is that orbs? Is that the orbs that we're witnessing today? I don't want to turn this into that conversation, but I mean, you had to take things into perspective. Like, we got more experience now to be able to rightfully translate the visuals that they're giving us in the old times the best they can. But let me read this. Jasher 6:26 and 22. The firmament of heaven was open, and the angels came down to the earth and showed themselves in the fiery chariots. And I saw the brightness of their countenance, which was as the brightness of sapphire stones. Sapphire stones, right? So the heavens is comprised in some fashion or form, at least in the religious context or whatever you call this. There are several different mentionings in different cultures, not necessarily read because I don't think that they actually hit on what I was looking for. Indeed, we have adorned the nearest heaven with stars, and as protection for the devils, as we made the stars a beauty for the observers. In the Quran, why does this not? mentioned sapphire, it alludes to the idea that the sky has a precious, radiant thing which aligns. So who is we? Indeed, in the Quran, I have to read that to see what they're talking about. It says, indeed, we have adorned the nearest heaven with stars. Who is we? And as protection for the devils. And we have made the stars a beauty for the observer. Anyway, just to mention, just to show you how it's not coming from nowhere, and what were my hunch. I have another one that I was working on too. Let me see if this is polar plasma crystal interaction. Plasma and crystal interaction. I think this is okay. Nah, we ain't ready for this. We ain't ready for that. Is this it? So, I had also had another hypothesis. I'm like, okay, so if the firmament, if it's a thing, the more likely uh insulator, it seems, based off of what I've read, would be a a crystal, a stone, and an insulator. It seemed that it would be that sapphire, right? So I just start wondering, because when you get to thinking about the 24-hour sun, that had nothing to do with my, it didn't bother me not one bit that they were able to witness a 24-hour sun, not one bit. I wasn't thinking about that. My thing uh that was bothering me was, how did the sun appear more south than them? So if they're in the flat earth paradigm, the ring, the so-called outer ring itself has an inner ring. Union Glacier is closer to the inner ring, which is actually flat, like walking up from a beach. You don't walk up straight mountain from a beach. You walk up eroded waste flat land, beach, sand and stuff like that. And that's similarly to what it looks like in Union Glacier. But the more south you go, the more elevation there is. It don't matter if it was a place, even according to the North Pole being one spot on an ice block, it still gets higher in elevation the more south you go, and on the ice ring as well. Why? Because on the ice ring, going more south, mountains connect to the firmament, so it's higher. So quintessentially, all they got to do is say, hey, let's just agree that this is the South Pole. This is the highest place that we can find. This is the South Pole. And it can be any spot on the ring. They can just make that be the South Pole, which is closer to the firmament, which is the highest point in the South. And it can be any portion around that ring. They could have just found a peak and said, hey, this is the South Pole here. It's high. So when you view the sun, it's going to look like the sun is moving horizontal to the horizon, and you won't see a fluctuation of wave as the sun moves, like here. You see how, if I speed this up, the sun is going up and down like a wave, right? And that's the up and down like a wave is just an illusion, because it stays at the height that it is while it's in the southern circle, in there in its most southern circle. It stays the height that it is, which is around about I think 7,000 miles, 7,743 miles or something like that, when it's at the most southern circle in the flat Earth paradigm. So quintessentially, it's making a inward spiral towards the north, and then it spirals back outward. So it's like an upside down. It's creating a V. The sun travels above the earth like a V motion, inward and outward, but not only inward and outward, up and down, right? The angle that we see of the sun. So the sun itself, when it's at the highest peak, when it's at its highest, 7,700 feet, it's closer to the firmament, theoretically, if this is a thing, if the firmament is a thing, right? It's closer to the firmament. And it would more than likely create these eminences if the heavens are what they say it is. It is great. Look at this shit, bro. Like, you ain't gonna be able to tell me, none of you niggas, without displaying that there is something behind the sun, can generate an answer for this. There's nothing in front of the sun that's creating that. There's nothing in front, and the sun is supposed to be the highest thing, right? There's nothing in front of the sun creating that eminence. It's behind it. It's clear. So in my video, I shown other, let me just do this disclaimer. I'll have to show a video of my video. I have to disclaim their portion of the video. Here are other people in different places that have seen the two sun phenomenon, or what it appears to be two suns, right? And in my, right, so it's not as strong. This is clearly behind the sun, and the sun is supposed to be in space, right? That's clearly not a lens flare. Right? And here, there, and back here. These are, this is evidence of a firmament. Them guys did a great job by going and capturing this. I don't think they're under a dome. And by the way, if anybody has ever heard of a television show called Sunnyvale, where these people were actually captured or tricked and drugged and taken to Antarctica, to a dome. Is a dome in Antarctica with the city and a small town inside, and it's a simulation of a world. That's where they got that movie that Jim Carrey played in. You know what I'm saying? He's a dude that just lived in the city. He's the only one that's not an actor. Well, it's real. It really happened in real life. And a dome is in Antarctica. I'm not saying that the dome, they're saying there's no dome in Antarctica. I've seen a video of this. There's no dome in Antarctica. There's a dome in Antarctica. I don't know if it's still in place or how significant. Has it been upgraded? I don't know any of that. But what I do know is that there is a dome in Antarctica with a small town on the inside. It has a sky and simulator and all of that. Yes. But back to this here. What is this? Looks like sapphire refracting and absorbing light. That's what it looks like. That's what it is, right? Oh, tripping, man. So I'll let it play for a second. Give me a second. I gotta go get a light for my candle. Be right back. Okay, my back, my back. So yeah, I would like for someone to give an explanation for what is that behind the sun. And also describe or give an explanation for when the sun is traversing north, it stretches like it's bending. What is that? What is, and this is over a period of an hour, 24 hours. So of course, what we're witnessing is happening faster than what really is than the speed that it really occurs, right? So that means at any given point, I don't know how long, maybe the sun did like right there. You see that? Like maybe the people that were uh showing or taking a video themselves weren't able to see that stuff in the sky. But I know that they went through the video, right? They went through the video and it's no way in the world that they did not see that those anomalies behind the sun. There's no way that they didn't. There's no way. So for them to even raise question or for them to be even honest about that, that would make them have to admit to a firmament or something more than what we're being told. Now the sun itself, you see this, it's this light that we see. I propose is secondary to what's really going on with the sun. I'm gonna open my PowerPoint. All right. So this is my PowerPoint. let's listen. The sun is always high and turning in a circle above the earth. In the winter, the sun goes far from us, which makes the days short and cold. But in the summer, when it comes back near us, it makes the days long and warm. You will know when the sun is near you and when it is far from you from its light, as you can tell which way it is turning in a circle above the earth from the rising and from its light. And also you know that by observation. I don't know why we allow science to tell us what we're seeing is not what we're seeing. You don't witness Earth revolve around the sun. You witness the sun revolve around the earth. That's what you witness. You're being told you're revolving around the sun. Your experience means nothing. The evidence of what you see is absolutely not what it is. That's what they're telling you. So again, I have this equation for what they did. Who is they? Whomever it is that changed the shit that I'm looking at, because I know that we're not a revolve around. Look, they telling us that the sun is 1,000,000 times larger than Earth. So 1,000,000 Earths can fit inside the sun. So the Earth would be considered like a speck of dust. Produce a speck of dust that can only show half of light when it's light shined on it. Produce a speck of dust that when you shine light on it, the light doesn't totally engulf it, meaning wrap it around the dust speck particle. It's no way that can happen. There's no field you can produce that would only allow a half of the speck of dust to receive light at whatever angle you angle at it, at no matter what axis you put it on. There is no speck of dust. If Earth is 1,000,000th of the size of the sun, produce it. Produce a spinning ball. Produce a model that has a spinning ball where water stays on the surface in its entirety. Produce it. Produce it. There is none. There is no model. I checked. There is no model. So something is not. Look, I even asked ChatGPT, right? I asked ChatGPT, where is it at? Where is it at? Asthma, sun, absorption, matter, light speed. Let's just ask ChatGPT this. I'll start a new one. It's probably on my other page. Let's ask ChatGPT this. If the let's just ask it this: Is Earth one? Where's one? One? No. So the sun's volume can fit 1.3 million Earths. Okay, 1.3. So if one 3 million Earths can fit in the sun. How does ever occur? No. I'm only talking about conventional understanding. If the Earth is my spelling mismatch. Great point. Given the conventional understanding of the sun's immense size compared to Earth, it might seem counterintuitive that half of Earth is illuminated while the other half experience darkness. However, the reason happens lies in distance and the way light travels. Okay, let's look at this. Let's see how smart this thing is. All right, the distance of the sun, perspective matters. The sun is approximately 150 million kilometers, 93 million miles away from Earth. At such a vast distance, the light rays reaching Earth are nearly parallel, meaning they cover only the side facing the sun at any given time. Despite the sun's size, the immense distance reduces its angular size in the sky to adjust at about zero point 0.5 degrees, making it appear small rather than overwhelming Earth with light. That's BS. That's BS because the only way you can, all right, light travels in a straight line. Sunlight spreads out as it moves. But since Earth is spherical, in conventional understanding, sunlight spreads out as it moves. Only the side directly facing the sun receives light. The Earth's shadow night side forms because light doesn't bend around objects without an atmosphere to scatter it. Earth shadow nighttime forms because light doesn't bend around objects without an atmosphere to scatter it. I understand that. Anybody understand that? What up, y'all? Who in the chat? Yo, give me a shout out. Who in the chat? Hit the like. Who in the chat? What's up, though? It says light travels in a straight line. Sunlight spreads out as it moves. But since Earth is spherical, only the side directly facing the sun receives light. Oh, they so smart. The Earth's shadow, night side, forms because light doesn't bend around objects without an atmosphere to scatter it. Where there is an atmosphere to scatter light. Where isn't it? When isn't it? Because it's nighttime doesn't mean there is no atmosphere. So that don't make sense. Somebody explain that. I don't understand that. Okay. The scale and illumination. Think of a tiny object like a grain of sand near a powerful street light. If it's far enough away, the light still only covers one side due to a straight line travel. Think of a tiny object like a grain of sand near a powerful street light. If it's far enough away, the light still only covers one side due to the straight line travel. Earth relative size compared to the sun, though small, still allows for significant curvature to create a day-night cycle as one side faces the sun at night at a time. Light travels, the atmospheric scattering. Light travels from the sun. Light from the sun does scatter within Earth's atmosphere, which is why we experience gradual transition like dawn and dusk. However, this scattering isn't strong enough to light up the entire planet simultaneously. What? The light of the sun does scatter within Earth's atmosphere, which is why we experience gradual transition like dawn and that's what? I'm gonna show y'all something. This is not true. That's not true. I'm gonna watch this. Even though the Earth is tiny compared to the sun, the enormous distance allows sunlight to act in a way that only one hemisphere is lit at a time. If the sun were much closer, it could light up the whole Earth simultaneously. But at its current distance, the curvature of the Earth and its parallel nature of the light create the familiar day night cycle. So, no, that's not true. so, so here, the sun, first of all, the sun is the reason we have all weather. The sun's positioning in this model, in my model, I'm going to produce everything that they said. I'm going to do it in my model, right? And it's basically flat Earth model with the change of the shape of the Earth itself. Flat Earth, water, the look, the sun, on December 21st, the sun moves around the Tropic of Capricorn, and during the day lights up the southern portion of the Earth. The southern portion, this is the north. North is the center. So you will have Michigan, Russia, Canada, all of that closer to the north, which is the center. The south is your Africa, Antarctica, Australia, the Pacific, areas like um, New Zealand, Hawaii, and all of that over there, Pacific area. So that's your south. It's talking about when the sun is closest to the south, it lights up that portion of sky. This Tropic of Capricorn here beneath the equator. The Tropic of Cancer is above the equator. The sun travels between these two uh, latitudes. Now, seeing as though they have said the poles have changed, and you can see the weather conditions have changed. Even in the poles themselves, they're growing vegetation. The ice is melting, and other areas of the earth is receiving tremendous amounts of flooding based on these areas going back to their original state, which means that the sun may no longer be traversing between these two tropics. It may be traversing between two other tropics. That causes the weather. So when you see the sun is moving around the Tropic of Capricorn, it's wintertime for us in the north. And when it's moving around the Tropic of Cancer, it's summertime for us in the north. And it's wintertime for them down here. And when it's down here, you see what I'm saying? So it goes back and forth. So the sun moves back and forth between those two. So watch this. This is what it looks like when you take a picture of the sun at the same time every day in the same place. It's called an analemma. It's taken over a course of a year, a picture every day at the same time, 365 days for a year. So what is really happening, that's only a picture. So you can see the shape that the sun is making around the earth. Notice that when it's in the north, it's a smaller circle. And when it's in the south, this is the south down here, it's a larger circle. It's a reason because of that. Here's the reason here. That's because the sun is traveling in a smaller circuit in the north. And as it traverses south, which this isn't the direction that it goes in this, I didn't make this, but this was a perfect display of north and south and how the sun goes. It actually goes up at an up angle. When it goes south, it goes upward. It don't go downward. It goes up away from the earth. And then it comes back to the north to traverse this circle here. Right? And when it goes outward though. So when it's in the north, June 21st at the Tropic of Cancer, it's summertime. And then when it traverses around the earth every day, getting wider and wider till it gets down here at the Tropic of Capricorn, which is December 21st. And then it makes its way back up, revolving around over and over again till they get back to that point, right? So that's what's happening. This is why we see this here, this motion, right? It don't matter if it's on, it can be on a globe. You're still going to see the same thing. This is the motion that the sun makes, or this is the perspective that it's viewed on Earth to be doing. Here, this is what it looks like on your globe, right? But in all actuality, it's doing this here. See here, when it's in the north, the Tropic of Cancer is at 4,000 miles above the earth. And then as it traverses towards the south, it goes upward. When it's at the equator, it's approximately 6,000 miles. And then when it gets to the Tropic of Capricorn, it's approximately 7,567 miles, which I stated earlier I was off. 7,700 miles high. From in the wintertime, that's where it's at for us. So if we can do that, if we can do this here, right, on a tour, we can do this here on a tour. And we know that all applications that we have here on Earth is nothing but miniature or minuscule proportions of Earth functionalities itself. Like every aspect, microwaves, light, to everything that we use is basically Earth itself. So if this is happening in a toy, what do you think happened here or here? We think everything is just like this magical force, and the entire time it's created. It's a created phenomenon. It's something that is designed. It's designed. You can't say that the sun isn't doing this. This is what it does right here. This is what we perceive on Earth. They telling you it's doing something different. So not only look, we'll listen what NASA says the sun is. The sun is a magnetic star. A magnetic star, right? Why is it important? A magnetic star. Me personally, I know that it's more than a magnetic star. But listen, let's see. The thermonuclear furnace in its 15 million degree core heats up and churns the electrically conducting plasma in the outer third of the sun in much the same way as the stove heats and churns and boils water. That's BS because that's not how that works. That's not even what it looks like. It doesn't even, that's not even close. What that's not even close. um this part of the sun is called convective. And the reason why I say that is because you can see plasma in action in reality today. You know what creates plasma. You know you different elements generate different types of plasmas. I done a whole write up on it, and I done a video on plasma showing how the mind itself, the human innards, the energy that flows inside of humans is a plasma, and show how um in relation to things from going from being a solid to a plasma is the same thing that happens in creation, something in conception, when a zinc spark occurs inside of the egg when the sperm enters. um, this zinc spark is a plasmic reaction that basically shuts down, it causes the outer layer of the egg to harden. That prevents any more semen from entering. And then it also draws matter. So what does plasma do? Plasma draws matter, right? It draws matter to you. So it builds. That's what's happening. You're becoming more from matter being drawn to you. It's more than just eating food. We only break the food down. The food have to become other things to build us up. Have to be broken down to smaller pieces, particles of you, portions of you, so that it can be built back up. You have to start from the smallest point in existence to begin building something. But it says this part of the sun is called the convective zone. Plasma in motion drives a dynamo that generates a global magnetic field as well as a small scale local field. As these fields emerge through the sun's visible surface, the photosphere, they form. So basically, I'm showing you that the sun's magnetic activity increases. The sun is magnetic. The sun's is electromagnetic because it tells you that electrically conducting plasma automatically makes the sun electromagnetic. It's not only electromagnetic, it's gamma ray, it's X-ray, it's emitting radiation. The sun is actually probably hollow, based on the videos and pictures that I've seen. When the sun goes through its final phases, it looks hollow. When you look at the sunspots, it's black on the inside. The sun isn't orange like they're showing you. That's not the color of it. It's light. It's plasma. It's like those orbs that you see. It's like the stars that you see, right? It's those things. But we, in our mind, have been fooled to believe that these things are great and large and far and distant. But it's right. It's right. I can show you that everything I'm saying can be produced on a smaller scale, even still. Which says I highlighted some of this on purpose for some reason. Most of the gas is actually plasma. Plasma, most energetic charged particles. Plasma, everything is plasma. Earth's magneto sphere and all this that like so you seeing this connection of the Earth being electromagnetic. It's less gravity than it's not much gravity being spoken in between the relationship of the sun and Earth and moon. They tell you it's gravity, but it's all down to its finest electromagnetic. Let's look at something right quick. This is called magnetohydrodynamics, right? This is a video that I downloaded, and it was important because I needed to understand how would the sun affect the wind and the particles, the conducting fluids in the upper atmosphere, right? So it led me to this video, but going through this, it's all good and important. I showed y'all the title of it. I got down to this part right here.
But what happens with the liquid?
The sun is electromagnetic, and in my model, it's right up in the earth. It sits within the dome. It's smaller than what we're being told. It's significantly smaller. If it's right above the earth, it has to be have an immediate effect on what we feel down here on earth. So if the sun is so-called whisking through the upper atmosphere, its electromagnetic field, because it's imminent power. I mean, you can see the imminence in the brightness that it's emitting. That's power. That's a secondary reaction to something greater that we cannot see.
Here is mercury in a shallow trough, and this powder will reveal the motion.
The mercury in a shallow trough, the powder will reveal the motion as the electromagnetic field passes.
The effect of the J cross B force is obviously much more complicated for a deformable fluid than for a rigid solid. So, we must examine carefully how J cross B is distributed and how it affects each individual bit of fluid.
Magnetohydrodynamics in a fashion like this. The sun passed through. See, because hurricanes are seasonal, and they're due to the effect that the sun had made on the atmosphere as it passed through in that time. Now this is my model. I know what we're taught. I know, but I'm showing you, I'm producing the same thing by condensing the sun and making those same effects still happen. So this electromagnetic field that being generated as the sun passes around Earth at certain times create these hurricanes, and it can be produced even here. Let me give you an example of the Coriolis effect, right? In essence, the center is the north, the outer portion is the south. We'll sprinkle some pepper, and you're going to see the effects within the field. When one is closer to the north and one is closer to the south, you'll see they generate two separate directions. That's an electromagnetic field generating. If you don't know it, you see the magnet beneath, the center, the outer ring. I don't know if you know that, but that's this here. Same thing. Now, in our upper atmosphere, we have noble gases. And they're going to tell you all these different ranges and amounts. Like the amounts can't be really affected by the sun because the sun is so far away. But I'm giving you the model with the sun very close and still be able to generate certain things that can be argued. Like here's nitrogen, here's oxygen, argon, carbon dioxide, neon, helium, methane, krypton, water vapor. Now let's look at the same gases under introduced to a electromagnetic field, right? And what happens, right? Hydrogen, helium, neon, argon, krypton, xenon, and neon. I mean nitrogen, which isn't one, but still. So when the sun passed through our upper atmosphere, with each one of these in layers, they're layered above the earth, they generate daylight for us here on Earth. This is what you see. You see those very same spectrums here above the earth. This is a NASA photo that I clipped myself. This is a NASA photo. And what they do is generate the different noble gases in layers above the earth. The sun has passed through and caused the excitation, which is ionization of these noble gases, and generated light. This is this here. So when ChatGPT said that daylight is generated, I chuckled because he obviously doesn't know this. That just coincidentally, these very same gases are above the earth in their layered numbers, and they're being affected by the sun, electromagnetic radiation that passes through one way or another. Xenon, for instance, filters gamma ray and X-ray from entering Earth's atmosphere. This right here is the lower gas, neon. Neon. That's the lower. When the sun is farther away, you see this because it's the last gas that's affected. Do I have that video? Let me see. I don't have that video on this. Maybe I got to go inside of my bag. I will actually. Ready to go. Okay. This video displays the farther away that the electromagnetic field is from the gases, how they. So this would mimic the sun leaving, in my model, the sun leaving the area of the perspective of the observer. So you'll see how the light, how the gases are affected as the electromagnetic field leaves the gas. And this is a Tesla coil that this guy generated, right? And he tells you what's in the gas containers. And so he's showing you as he's introducing it. I'm gonna show you. Oh, wait a minute. Okay. So this is a controlled experiment, same concept, introducing an electromagnetic field to noble gases. Hold on. Let me do this right quick. Fair use, fair use, fair use, fair use, fair use. Back to the hookup. Play it. So he's ionizing the gases with an electromagnetic field. That's a Tesla coil that he built. Right? Helium, neon, argon, krypton, xenon. So these gases are in our upper atmosphere. You guys refuse to even consider that maybe what they're telling us is not an entire truth. And these gases literally are in our upper atmosphere being introduced to electromagnetic fields. I don't get you smart motherfuckers. I don't get y'all. Now watch the last thing that gets seen. That emits energy. The farther away. Watch the last thing that's seen. See that? You would rather believe the explanation that they give you than the fact that they're clearly, let's listen to this guy. I was happy to find this guy. I was in the same place for so long by myself. Listen, when I found this guy, he's still off on a lot of things as far as I'm concerned, in my opinion, because like they do all of this studying and they come up with all of these answers, but they don't put them the dots. They don't connect them properly. And as I continue to display videos, you will see what I'm saying. Like the dots aren't connecting properly. But this guy hits the nail on the head in this particular video right here. And anybody know me, I built my pyramid earth model and all of these propositions I made 6 years ago, right? And I'm just finding people that have the same mind or have going along the same ideology that I am, and I'm doing it independently, and I believe that they are as well, because that's the only way you're going to come up with this information, by actually studying. Don't just read what NASA says. The sun is reflecting, the moon is reflecting the sun's light. Yes and no. The moon is not reflecting visible light, aiming it at Earth, and you're able to see the light of the moon. That's not what's happening. The moon is absorbing X-ray and gamma ray, then emitting that light in a low level radiation itself. That's not visible light, reflecting. So you have to actually, how do I know that? Because NASA says it themselves. Here, the moon literally glows without earth shine. Or here, look, let me show you. The meeting 40th Lunar and Planetary Science Conference, NASA, Johnson Space Center, Texas, Houston. You'll go down here, it'll tell you. Nevertheless, I'll enlarge it, because luminescence is typically described as light emitted by objects at low temperatures, induced by chemical reactions, electrical energy, atomic interactions, or acoustical and mechanical stress. An example of is photoluminescence, created when photons, electromagnetic radiation, here we go again, electromagnetic radiation, strike a substance and are absorbed, resulting in the emission of a resonant fluorescent or phosphorescent albedo. In planetary science, there exists X-ray fluorescence induced by sunlight absorbed by a regolith, a property used to measure some of the chemical compositions of the moon's surface during the Apollo program. However, there exists an equally important phenomenon in planetary science, which will be designated here as photon luminescence. It is not conventional photoluminescence because it is incoming radiation that strikes the planetary surface, is not photons, but rather cosmic rays. Oh, but they're not photons, but rather cosmic rays. Nevertheless, the result is the same, the generation of photon albedo. In particular, galactic cosmic radiation albedo and solar energetic particles both induce a photon albedo that radiates from the surface of the moon. Other particle albedos are generated as well, most of which hazardous, but the photon luminescence or albedo of the lunar surface induced by galactic cosmic radiation and SEPs will be derived here, demonstrating that the moon literally glows in the dark when there is no sunlight or earth shine. Hear that? There is no sunlight or earth shine. So then you go and it, hold on, let me go back to my page and do that. And it tells you how this is so. It goes through the whole hookup, it breaks it down, right? And then it tells you about the X-rays and how it absorbs the X-rays and the gamma rays, and it reflects off the other shit that don't be absorbed by the moon. And it'll get down here and they'll tell you it has been shown that the entire moon glows due to galactic cosmic induced albedo with the fluorescence whose spectrum extends from X-rays to Y rays. See that? Not reflection of the sunlight as what is visible to us, like holding a mirror. So you got to be careful when you got to go and look at what is actually being said by science, by what they're saying. So then this guy right here even makes more sense now. You know, hear that? The moon is a plasma.
inches high, and the conventional theories instead of sometimes 14 feet. And that means that if it is proved that the moon is a plasma, then all gravitational theories are out, and the new concept of the cosmos and of its laws has to be.
Well, now, one thing, you have a theory about the moon, and we expect to be able to get observable facts about the moon fairly soon. What is your theory?
Well, it is by now rather more than a theory. 10 or 11 years ago, I stated to various scientists that the moon is not a piece of rock, but it is a plasma phenomenon, a cosmic effect.
Scientists said the moon is a plasma before they went to the moon, right?
Because if the moon, for example, had only a thousandth part of its current mass, then the
moon is a plasma. Right. So check it out. So I had this hunch. So when I was showing y'all the sapphires earlier, I had a hunch that if the moon and sun is in Earth atmosphere, in the flat Earth or pyramid Earth model, they would have to be sustained. And how would they be sustained? What would maintain their distances from Earth and keep them in their respective rotations or revolutions around the Earth, right? So it had to be, you know, electromagnetic. So, but yeah, so these things are plasmas, but what keeps this plasma contained? So I hypothesized that possibly the plasma is contained within an orb, a crystal orb that is transparent, just like the firmament. And that makes them they're magnetically sustained, just like metal, because of what it's made of. The properties of sapphire. Let's see, because right now I'm just hypothesizing. Let me ask this. Let me ask it this. Is sapphire does not contain a significant amounts of ferromagnetic materials such as nickel, iron. So, sapphire is considered diamagnetic, meaning it weakly repels a magnetic field rather than being attracted. And that sounds like exactly what we need for the sun and moon to be doing. It weakly repels a magnetic field. Let's see, is that like diamagnetic? Is that like this? Or is it that? Is this diamagnetic? Oh, I did think this was interesting that he
Continuum. Most of the universe consists of ionized gas, a conducting fluid, and MHD dominates astrophysics. These solar flares owe their strange form to magnetic forces. Ionized gas exists on Earth, too. But on Earth, there are also conducting liquids, such as the acid in this battery or the mercury in the jet. The field is horizontal, the current is vertical. Deflecting the jet, there is a force perpendicular to the current and the field.
Yeah, I thought that was interesting, but what I brought it up here, what I wanted to
Force per unit
was this part. This part right here.
Induced currents, and these two produce J cross B forces. As the ring crosses the edge of the field, it links an increasing amount of magnetic flux. According to Faraday's law, a current will be induced around the ring. This current produces the force we observed. The J cross B forces on a conductor are distributed throughout its interior. When the conductors are solid, it doesn't deform. But what happens with a liquid? Here is mercury in a shallow trough, and this powder will reveal the motion.
Freezing up. Too much on my baby. Gotta pause for a second. Well, I was right. I probably was right. I think that was diamagnetic. Fair use. Fair freaking use. I think I want that one or that one. All right. Mm. Mm. Mm-hmm. Yep. This is exactly what I needed to be doing right there. So So superconduction, paradigmatic shell of the both of the plasma, sun, and moon, right? They're kept in place. How cold is it in space? What determines what is superconduction? So we dealing with electromagnetism, we dealing with magnetism, we dealing with radiation, we dealing with cold, extreme cold temperatures. Like we're producing these things. It's simple, bro. Like we're producing the same thing here on Earth. What is it like what is the temperatures like above Antarctica on the ice ring? What is the temperatures like above the North Pole on the pyramid Earth? On the globe. I'm sorry. On the flat Earth model / pyramid Earth model in this aspect, I maintain until proven otherwise. I'm talking about proven that the cold space itself, what the sun and moon is made of, and their relation to Earth's magnetic field keep them at bay where they are within Earth's magnetic field or above Earth's magnetic field. It repulses, right? I don't know if people don't know this, but science teaches that the space station is in a free fall around the Earth. So it's constantly falling, but the propulsion exceeds the falling, so it'll just be continuously falling as it moves around the Earth. What if there's a portion of Earth? Oh, I'm not a believer in gravity either. I believe that what we call gravity is attributed still to electromagnetism or some sub understanding of what electromagnetism is under certain conditions. You feel what I'm saying? Like, you can't say mass is attracted to Earth because of electromagnetism, because once things cool to their proper point where they're going to become what they are, they become neutral. So their atoms, which are still producing an electromagnetic field themselves, is not being shown in mass as a charge because it becomes neutral itself. But once you get off into frequency resonance and things of that nature, which you'll find out later on, I've also implemented into my model, you will be able to see that it's still quintessentially quarks, glucons, all that shit is still electromagnetism into light, to where you can't see stuff, like to where not visually see, but where it's the opposite of matter. It still exists. It still takes up a space. It still generates a type of field that repels matter as opposed to attracting matter, like a reverse plasma, if you can say that. Hold on. Where is my? So where I showed that the moon is let me see, where is it at? Heat. This is heat. Listen to what this says. The electromagnetic polarity, as in reference to the relationship of the sun and the magma beneath the surface of the earth attractions are more consistent or stronger if the sun is directly above Earth's surface. Science teaches us that heat to the surface of the earth are from the vertical rays of the sun. However, if one study carefully and observe the science beneath, they are actually telling us microwaves from the sun, magnetic attraction to the magma beneath is what contributes to the heat we experience. And they call it solar wind. It's just crazy. It's like it's always in our face. They call that solar wind. Now, this is what I have for noble gases. And I didn't even know, like, let me see. It says, let's explore the presence of noble gases in the upper atmosphere and how these particles interact with sunlight. When certain properties within solar rays penetrate the atmosphere, they agitate the noble gases, causing them to emit light, a phenomenon we observe during auroras and atmospheric displays, including daylight. This behavior can be compared to similar occurrences in a vacuum, where specific conditions led to exact excitations of gases, resulting in luminescence. The understanding of electromagnetic fields, as established by pioneers like Michael Faraday, provides a framework for comprehending these interactions. The alignment of noble gases and their response to electromagnetic forces supports the argument that these fields play a significant role in our environment, challenging conventional explanations that rely heavily on gravity and light scattering. My name, old boy, Ray Leah, whatever his name is, that shit. I looked at that shit, so no matter how many times I looked at it, it still don't make no sense. Like they make it make sense, but they're not. So they use like they. It's like they put a mask over what they're trying to tell you, like everything, like I showed you with the moon and the sun reflection, the reflection of sunlight. That's BS or daylight. You can't tell me that these electromagnetic, these noble gases are not being introduced to an electromagnetic field, and daylight is not the result of that. This bubble type. Oh, I forgot. I was showing something. I got sidetracked. Let me get back to what old boy, because he broke it down pretty dope.
I'm gonna read to you. You just like follow the photo.
Give me a second. I'm
check
about to
the
go
photo,
on,
the picture on the screen, but listen carefully, because this is something that people do not accept because they are afraid of the reality of the real world they live in. Hey, that's how humanity works. Phenomenon daylight. How is daylight created in this world? I'll call it the world. It's up to you what kind of world you live in. The ionosphere is the upper portion of the atmosphere. There, in the ionosphere, there are the inert or noble gases. They are separated in layers, according to their molecular mass. The sun, what we call the sun, that spot, whatever you want to call it on the sky, it doesn't matter the height, it doesn't matter whatever you want to believe about it. Hey, we see it every day, right? That sun happens above these layers, above the layers of the noble gases, in the ionosphere, and this sun that you see on the sky is the pilot light. What is the pilot light? It's the electromagnetic field, and due to this light, there are shadows, and this gives direct light. The sun also creates this curved moving electromagnetic field around it, because electromagnetism curves, not water, but electromagnetism. And this moving curved electromagnetic field created by the sun makes all the noble gases or the inert gases below in the ionosphere around the tropical sun to react. To react how? By being ionized. I-O-N-I-Z-E-D, ionized, and that gives fluorescence, and that is exactly the daylight. This ionized reaction of the noble gases with the curved electromagnetic field of the sun. That's what we call daylight. This happens in the ionosphere, and it's also called plasma light, if you want to call it more scientifically. It is a circle moving fluorescent molecules, light umbrellas over the level Earth, because the world is level, it doesn't curve, made by ionized inert gases. Pretty much, like I said, it's the interaction of the electromagnetic field that moves, because the sun moves, and that interaction with the noble gases. And we have daylight, and of course we also have like the different colors in the sky. Now daylight is this discharge gas light in a huge scale, or gas discharge light. When the sun goes away, because the sun moves in an analemma way, the temperature and the pressure are getting very low, and the gases there are discharged. When the sun comes near, the electromagnetic field ionizes the inert gases, and we have daylight. Remember, the gases are always present. What moves is the electromagnetic field of the sun. That's why when the sun moves away, there's night, because the gases in this enclosed system, experimental place, the gases don't have any electromagnetism to interact with. So the place where there's no sun, we call it night. And the place where there's sun, we call it day, because daylight happens because of this interaction.
Makes sense to me.
Between the electromagnetic field
Makes
and the
plenty
gases.
sense to
Now,
me, bro.
if something curves, it is not the earth, it is not water, but it is daylight, because it happens due to this electromagnetic field that the sun creates. With the noble gases, we have helium, neon, argon, krypton, xenon, and also radon is also an radon is radioactive, by the way, but I'm not going to go into that point. And even hydrogen, you can actually consider it a noble gas if you want to take it to a bit of an extreme. These gases are the gases of the ionosphere. They are on layers. Each one of them is in a different layer. The heavier gases down, and the lighter gases up. Why? Oh, density, my friend. So a moving light umbrella is the daylight, called plasma. We can see every color from the ionized gases in the sky. I actually made a video some months ago with the different colors of the sky.
Man, I was so happy to find this guy, bro.
Because of the distance of the electromagnetic field. So according to the distance, the wave, because electromagnetism has waves, that wave interacts with the gases on different layers, and that's why you see the sky with blue and lighter blue and darker blue and almost white sometimes, and then you see orange and red and purple and all that stuff. So, for example, the blue in its different layers of blue, every blue from ionized argon, krypton, and hydrogen is the blue color of the sky. So depending on which interaction the electromagnetic field has with argon, krypton, and hydrogen, you have different layers of blue, colors of blue. And the yellow-orange stuff, that's with the neon. When neon, as the gas gets ionized, you have different colors of yellow and orange, which is the color before sunrise and after sunset, when the sun or the electromagnetic field is the furthest away from your spot, from where you live on the level Earth, which doesn't move, because the sun is the one that moves. Actually, the refraction of the black sun. So yeah, sunrise and sunset orange, and during the day you have different layers of blue. So blue is argon, krypton, and hydrogen interaction, and orange and yellow is neon. Neon also reacts from long distance with the less electromagnetic energy. That's why you see sunrise and sunset with this orange yellow, because neon reacts with when the sun is further away, which means that there is less electromagnetic energy around the sky. So, and of course, if you listen carefully to what I said with the picture I put on the screen, then you do understand. And if you put this into perspective with everything you know so far, you should be able to go beyond the typical closed-minded groups on Facebook and Telegram and YouTube and all the social media and all the BitChute and all that stuff. People who...
All right. So as you can see, the sun plays a big role in the upper atmosphere, including inner ionizing particles above the earth, creating what we see beneath. See this here? This is the layer of gas. The sun's light has to pass through this. So the explanation that they give us for daylight, how am I able to produce this is what I'm saying. How am I equally able to produce the possibility of daylight under this circumstance? And it is totally different than what science says daylight is produced from. So again, the sun doesn't just travel around in a circle. That's the old flat earthers understanding. As you learn, you grow, and you add on to what you know. And so here is the understanding here. And this is even false as well. Like I said, it goes upward. It does traverse outward towards the south, which is the circle away from the center, but it goes upward and upward. So this guy right here, he breaks it down as I showed in the other video. He shows you how the sun is moved and how the Gleason map shows the direct trajectory of the sun, and all of that is built inside of masonry's masonry symbology. Same thing. But I really want to hear what you guys got to say to that. How do you get this? If this is the north, where is the photographer? For the north to be here, where's the photographer? Right? So you do realize the closer the northern star is to the horizon, the farther south the viewer or the observer. The closer the north star is to the equator, the farther south. So you can go so far south that the northern star is no longer visible, and all you see is this here. So this is Chile, altitude of 2,635 meters, right? And notice that there is no northern star. Hold on. All you getting are the outer traversing's of the stars farthest away from the northern star, because they spiral around the earth. Like here, when you view the stars from the north and you look at them through a time lapse, you can see that this is the North Star Trail. This is California, Northern California. And so when you look at the north, when you're north and you observe the stars, this is what it looks like to you when viewing it through a time lapse. Right? Now, as I showed you here, the northern star cannot appear above you. The northern star cannot appear above you. And the results of the stars that you experience when farther down or away from the north is the outer stars traversing their course, and you don't see a northern star. You get that? So this is the center. This is the center here. This is the Air Force physical political chart of the world. right? And as it's understood, this map is the opening, the southern portion of the map is opened up so that you are able to see the southern continents that folds beneath the globe. But I argue that because when you look up the distances of these, see, because this would imply that the land masses, these southern continents would get closer, right? And then converge as it does in the north, because we're looking down on the so here's the United States, Russia's over here, China's over here, here's Canada. So we're looking down. This is the northern northern perspective looking down on this map. This map, or according to globe earthers, it implies that this map would fold and these land masses would get closer, but they don't. You can look it up. They don't, they are the distances that this shows from each other. When you see four corners of the earth, you guys imagine north, south, east, west, but that's not what four corners of the earth. That's not even a perspective. These are directions. They're directions. How do you get four corners on the earth on a globe as described in the biblical sense, right? Because I showed you that the mug mentioned the firmament being made of sapphire, and that is plausible if there's a firmament based on the makeup of the firmament itself. I mean, of sapphire itself. I mean, it would be genius for them to just use the firmament as, sapphire as a firmament. Like, how would they have that insight? Right? So this is the four corners of the earth. South America, Africa, Australia, and the Pacific Ocean. New Zealandia is a continent that takes up this space beneath the Pacific Ocean that will show you four corners. They all converge in the center. 1, 2, 3, 4. This is a landmass here. It's called Zealandia. I can show you the article. A lost continent called Zealandia isn't a huge landmass that geographers have somehow missed. Rather, only small bits, including New Zealand, New Caledonia, and a few other specks of land in a vast Pacific Ocean are above sea level. The rest of this continent lies beneath the waves, a new study suggests. Zealandia, a whole continent, and look how it's shaped. So it takes up that space. It once sank. And guess what? Mythologically, a landmass existed here called Lemuria. But here's four corners. 1, 2, 3, 4. And what do you see? 1, 2, 3, 4. And it rises in the center. How do you know? Because look at the latitude lines. The latitude lines in the center is small land, smaller space, right? And notice how they get wider when you traverse south. Because there's no doubt that this center right here is the north. The Polaris star is right above this. So here you have Russia, Canada, which are the lands of the north. And here you have Africa, Australia, and South America, which are the lands of the south. These lands are farthest from the center. Notice that these latitude lines get wider as you traverse more southward. They get wider, indicating more land space, right? So the latitude lines kind of match the layout of the earth, which is the same reason why the sun traverses around the earth in this fashion here. Notice in the north, the circle is small. And in the south, it's wide, it's large, it's wider. Now, this, again, is only a snapshot, and it's not actually doing this motion. It's only a day-by-day snapshot. This is the motion. A corkscrew is what the sun is doing. Down, and then a corkscrew back out. I mean, in and out, not down. I got to create one that represents the sun going outward and upward. That's a bad representation. Like, I have to create one that's doing this. That demonstrates see how it's in the north, it's smaller elevation, and then when it moves south, it gets larger. Like, I have to create one that does that. But yes, that's what it's doing, quintessentially. Now, here's another thing I found interesting. This guy generates, so let me say this. I'm leaning towards the outer ring, right? Being a superconductive area, also being confined. It's almost like salt water. Salt water has something to do with it, right? The salt water, the ice, the cold, the very cold temperature has something to do with action. Is a result. Something's happening. It's not just by happenstance that we have the salt water, that we have the magnetic field in that area. Because look, when you go to the South Pole, when you go to the southern regions, you have electromagnetic interference in the devices out there. So we know that there's a field as well out to the so-called southern regions on the flat Earth, pyramid Earth / pyramid Earth model. We know that's happening even on the globe Earth model. That's all parallel. It's all go together. But this guy right here, this has nothing to do with pyramid Earth, right?
If you haven't done so yet, please pause the video.
Let me show this one more time. Disclaimer, copyright disclaimer under Section 107 of the Copyright Act of 1976. Allowance is made for fair use for the purposes such as criticism, comment, news, reporting, teaching, scholarship, and research. Fair use is a use permitted by copyright statute that might otherwise be infringing. Nonprofit, educational, or personal use tips the balance in favor of fair use.
And try to answer the question on your own before listening on. If the ring were composed of positive charges, would be pointing away from point P, and it would have the magnitude equal to the following expression. And so here we have that equation for the electric field magnitude produced by a charged ring, and we just want to make sure we understand all the variables in this equation. K is actually a constant that we know is equal to 8.99 times 10 to the 9th. Q, of course, would be the total amount of charge that's present on the ring. Z is the distance from this point P down to the center of the ring. And then R, of course, is the actual radius of the ring. Now, hopefully we can see in the diagram that this picture corresponds nicely to the picture over here, except that we have two charged rings. And the question notes that the smaller ring has a uniform charge distribution whose total charge is equal to positive Q, so perhaps we could label that. And as we just noted, when the ring contains positive charge, then the electric field at this point P is going to point away from the center of that ring. So we can project an electric field vector upward. And in order to get a net electric field of 0 at point P, we would have to have an electric field vector of equal magnitude but opposite direction in order to cancel out the electric field that's pointing upward. So we can project an electric field downward, and we can label that E prime. And since the electric field would be pointing downward towards the rings, that means that this larger outer ring must bear negative charge, because when the ring contains negative charge, the electric field vector points towards that ring of negative charge. So looking at this picture, we can begin to write the following equation. We know that the electric field that's pointing upward has to be equal in magnitude to the electric field that's pointing downward. And then we'll use this expression for the electric fields that are present in this equation. So what we'll do is substitute for the red colored electric field this expression, and then we'll do the same thing for the blue electric field. Now we just want to note a couple of things about this equation. The charge that's present on the smaller ring was given to us as positive Q. So we can substitute positive Q in for that charge. For the ring of negative charge, we don't know that charge. That's actually what we're looking for. So we'll just call it Q prime for now. Also, the radii are important. If we look back at the picture, we can see that the radius of the smaller ring was labeled as capital R, and then the radius of the larger ring is R prime. So that means in the equation, we have to fill in R and then R prime, which we have shown right here. However, R prime is equal to 3 times R. So we're going to substitute 3 times R in for the R prime. Now we can simplify this equation by essentially dividing both sides by kz. So in essence, the kz's are going to cancel out. Now algebraically, we can't cancel the z that appears on the left and right hand side because it's part of this single term, z squared plus r squared to the 3 halves. So we actually have to come up with an expression for z. We can see from this general picture that z is the distance from the point of interest all the way down to the center. So in our diagram, that distance would be from here all the way down to the center. However, that distance is given to us in the question as being equal to 2 times the radius. And so we're going to actually set that distance equal to 2r. In the equation, that would be our z value. So we'll go ahead and plug in 2r for the z's. We can simplify each of the denominators just a little bit here. We have 2r, all of which is squared, so that's going to become 4r squared, plus another r squared will be 5r squared. So we'll write 5r squared as the new denominator on the left side, but still raised to the 3 halves. And then on the right-hand side's denominator, we have 2r, all of which is squared, and 3r, all of which is squared. So we're going to have 4r squared plus 9r squared, which will become 13r squared. Now, let's go ahead finally and try to solve for q prime. We can actually multiply both sides of the equation by this term so that we essentially move it over to the numerator of the left-hand side. We could then perhaps just rewrite this a little bit so it looks a little tidier. And then this can actually be simplified since both quantities are being raised to the 3 halves power. We can actually write it as follows. And then, of course, if we look carefully, the r squareds will cancel. And then we have what we had sought, the charge q prime in terms of the charge that was present on the smaller ring, which was capital Q. We can actually pick up our calculators and simplify this expression here. And when we do that, we get 4.19 times capital Q is equal to the magnitude of charge on the larger ring. Now don't forget, we had concluded that the charge on the larger ring was negative, so we actually need to stick a negative sign in front of this to account for that fact. So this would be the final answer. Thanks for watching. If you liked the video, click the thumb.
Okay, so why did I show you that? If you start through that, what does that mean? So how does this happen? So in order to make that traverse towards the inner portion of this circle, right? So we see that something obviously here, and it would have to be something here as well that would cause it to track in between these two areas. Well, we looking at something as massive as the sun or the moon would be, and not according to the conventional understanding, but a more, of course, theoretical, smaller portion of those entities. They would have to be using some type of electric magnetism. They would have to use some type of subconduction. All of these proponents would have to be in place for this to work. And clearly, they are. Those things are in place. It's proven all the way back in the 1800s. This is a newspaper article. Bolivar and scientists proved different theories from same phenomena. Again, he proved it on a flat earth. Of course, the earth isn't flat. It rises in the center. It's more of a pyramid than flat, which is why, anyway. And then the guy here proved that the same phenomena on the globe. They used the math. He used math and proved it. This guy used math and proved it. And according to the narrative, not until satellites, a recent phenomenon, that supposed to determine whether the Earth was a globe or was it, or whether it was. But by that time, Earth had the world. Look, we've been conquered. It's new entities. It's new powers in play after the 1800s. It's new scholastics in place. Displacements, wars, knowledge, conquering of people, taking their knowledge, their land. A lot of stuff happened in that time. Worldwide cataclysm, earthquakes. I mean, all in the 1800s. Whole cities burned down, whole major cities. Chicago, Detroit, Kansas, Ohio, San Francisco, all these, New York, all these major places burned down. Mass displacement by people, all in the 1800s. So something obviously happened. So this guy here, Bolivar, he refused to turn from what was being pushed, right? He made the newspaper. Wilbur Glenn Bolivar, fame, overseer of Zion, gives the 10 reasons why he firmly believes he traveled to Europe on a flat earth. Continuous newspapers, flat earth and the sun, very small, revolutionary theories taught in U.S. schools in the 1800s. Ice barrier to keep the marinas from falling off. Zion pupils learn our world is flat. Believers' belief on a saucer with rim of ice fed to children. But look, here's the tripped out part. He's teaching all of this, flat earth. You go through the newspaper clippings. But in England, this guy in 1900, April 21st, 1900, says Earth is round. He may be thrown into prison. And conditions, it says, what does it say? Condition of fair affairs in England. Sir John Gross accused of intentions to teach false precepts. City of Portsmouth excited. In a painful to read, hold on, y'all. It says, it is painful to read that Sir John Gross, the head of British Educational Department, is in serious trouble and has been threatened by Mr. Ebenezer Breach and other taxpayers of the city of Portsmouth in the Kingdom of England with persecution under Impostors Act. With persecution under the Impostors Act. It seemed that the schools of Portsmouth have been teaching the damnable and heretical doctrine that the earth is a sphere. So this guy here actually existed, looked it up, is threatening to go to jail. This guy here, with the hat on, cowboy hat on, because he was teaching that the earth is a sphere in England. Sir John attention has been called to this dissemination of the sidious, what is that? Sidious and treasonable doctrine. Witnessed a loss or had a great loss, and they didn't know how to cope with it. So they wanted to get out of the world. So he proposed that they go to, and they didn't know how to cope with it. So they wanted to get out of the world. So he proposed that they go to a place where no sin exists, and he created a village and a resort that he would pay for. No planes to fly over. He had inherited money or something. No planes can fly over, and he created monsters in fairy tales of the children that they raised there to not to go beyond a certain place. And it's, to me, it seems that that's the same thing that happened here on earth. We have been fooled to believing that there is nothing beyond a certain region because monsters have been created. We can't go beyond certain portions because boundaries have been created. They got us believing that there's nothing beyond the South Pole because you run into the South Pole. It's only Earth. It's only the ball and nothing else. But what if we were hijacked? We were taught as children, and the older people who actually knew, they eventually just died off. And then it was a new society. Every 20 or so years, you just teach somebody something. And as the people die off, then the new people that come up, you got control of them. And while they're youth, while they're kids, a whole new doctrine is being taught up under the noses of the parents without them even knowing. The earth is a globe, but all the time it's been flat. Who determines? When does it begin to be taught that? Why is it a worldwide understanding? What was the agreements? Why? Because even within America, you got people who believe, and some that are science. I'm talking about professionals that believe the earth isn't what we're being told. That there are places beyond a region that we said that we're taught doesn't exist. Why is this a thing? We have to open our eyes, y'all. Like all of this stuff I'm producing shouldn't be. Check this out. This is the circumnavigation of Juan Sebastian Elcano, right? And they show you, when they show us the map, they show him starting here in Spain and then traversing down under South America, right? And then moving towards the west and coming out on the east side in the Pacific. That don't make sense, right? So how do you produce this? What would it actually look like? Because all of the continents are not on the same side. They're not facing the viewer. This is false. Why would they have to create a portal to come out on the other? What's going on the other side of this? These things are proportionately spread out. And this is what it looks like. They're proportionately spread out in this fashion. It doesn't look like this. There's no leaving on this side, going through South America and coming out on this side to South America. leaving the west of Africa and coming out on the side of South. That don't make sense, right? In none of the maps they show. So they got rid of the that map, right? And every map that we've ever seen in all of the time that we've been here on Earth have always showed the lands flared out, such as this. South America is this distance from South Africa. South Africa is this distance from Australia and New Zealand and the sort. Always. What does this look like? If you was to take this right here and turn it, because I removed the waters, because we think the waters are curving. They're not. On the reefs of these areas, right, is high feet off of the water. So you're looking over a ridge and the water is going on down there. So I removed the water so we can have a better understanding. These are the land masses, with the exception of a few smaller islands and other sort that we see. How would this look if you turned it sideways? Considering the north is small and it widens as you go south. The circles widen. This is what it would look like. With the exception of the water. The water would be all on the bottom. Because going north is going uphill. No matter what map. So this was proposed back in 1875. It's called the tetrahedral hypothesis, first proposed by William Lowthan Green. It was a scientific theory that explains the arrangements of Earth's continents and oceans by referring to the geometry of a tetrahedron. What is a tetrahedron? A tetrahedron is a freaking pyramid. A tetrahedron is a pyramid. 1, 2, 3. What do you see? Now, the only reason he proposed 3 is because there was no 4th until recent 2017 or something like that. Other than that, all he could hypothesize on was the 3. 1, 2, 3, a tetrahedron. 1, 2, 3. His tetrahedron hypothesis was historically interesting theory in the late and early of 20th century till it was superseded by continental drift. Now, continental drift states that over time, the continents drifted from their original state and created the fashion layout of the continents that we see today. I argue that, and I'd state that only liquefaction occurs, which is the upper layer of settlement that moves and receives liquid and moves entire cities or tilt entire buildings and then harden back up with the buildings tilted inside. Like that happens. But continental drift, where's a map that displays the Earth different than this in any point in history? Where Africa isn't where it is, Australia isn't where it is, and South America isn't where it is. They have always been in the same spots. Now, I will say, over time, water have came in, land has lowered beneath the sea level, and water have came in. Yes, I've seen that. But the continents have been in their respective spots throughout the beginning of time, or since man have been documenting the continents. So here's my model. North is the center of a circle. South is the base. And west and east are perpendicular lines. And that's what it is in real life, like in actuality. This right here cannot be argued. This is a fact. But that's not what we're told. We get in this. North, south, east, west. They're conflating the directions with the points. So you don't really understand what's going on. Going north is going towards the center of the circle of Earth. Going south is heading away from the north, which is represented astrologically by the Polaris star. So they keep us in this. The scripture is telling us, and after these I saw 4 angels standing on the 4 corners of the earth, holding 4 winds. How could that be on this? And he shall set up on the inside of the nations and shall assemble the outcasts of Israel and gather them to disperse of Judah from the 4 corners of the earth. How can you can get that on this? You get that on this. We got that here. 1, 2, 3. We got that. We got that here, bro. These lands going north, you go uphill to go north. South is down. North is up. Not jumping straight up in the air, but heading towards a direction. North is the center of all the continents. North is the center. Here's Alaska, the North Pole. North is the center of all the continents. So you show me 4 corners on this. You can't. That don't exist. This is part of my I asked ChatGPT to help me out with this. And I was going to present it all in one big, presentation. But I'm just going to stick with what I was writing. I'm going to finish writing my article on it, the whole thing, as opposed to doing this presentation. But let me continue to show you the tetrahedral hypothesis proposed by William Lowthan Green, which explains the arrangements of the Earth, continents, and the oceans by referring to the geometry of a tetrahedron. Here is a tetrahedron, a 3-dimensional shape. It has a height, a base, and a width, right? And that's what flat earthers don't consider. That the earth has a height, a weight, and a height, a width, a base, and a width. It was still popular in 1917. The tetrahedral hypothesis. I don't see where it's changed. There is no, where the fuck did when the hell did the continents begin to drift? Because in 1917, according to Wikipedia, it still was popular. So it says the law of least action. The law of least action demands that the somewhat rigid crustal portions of the earth keep in contact with the lessening interior with the least possible readjustments of its surface. A shrinking sphere tends by the law of least action to collapse into a tetrahedron. A shrinking sphere tends by the law of least action to collapse into a tetrahedron or tetrahedroid. A sphere marked by 4 equal and equidistant triangular projections, and the Earth, with its 3 about equal and equidistant double continental mass triangular southward, with 3 intervening depressed oceans triangular northward, and its ocean and southern continent, with the land everywhere antipodial to water, realizes the tetrahedroid status remarkably. And that is the truth. That's what you have here. See that? land, water, land, water, land, water, land, water, land, water. So this is what he proposing. So supposedly, the what you call it? What do you say? The continental drift and modern plate tectonics knocked it out the box. But where's the evidence of this continental drift and modern plate tectonics? Because when I even look at the map itself, right? If we go to, let's go to, we're gonna go to Google Earth right quick. We're gonna go to Google Earth. Right. And when you go to Google Earth, right, let's say United States, let's say between Africa. So they're telling you that the land broke from here and here. When even in this right here, it looks like the land dropped. It looks like the land just dropped. It don't look like it broke away. They want you to believe that this slid from here, all of this from here, right? And that all of these lines is this, that, and the other, right? And in reality, this was above water. It was all connected, and this was above water. And it dropped. There's no breaking away. This like you can't see it probably on here, but this is going down further and further, these lines. That's what it's showing you. But the land dropped down from in between the continents. It didn't break apart. You can still see the land here is just lower. It just dropped. You can see the crack all the way down here, all the way into the center of the north, which is why you have the Arctic Ocean, right? Because I can show you, you can't see what the fuck the earth is shaped like on this, bro. You can't. It's impossible. It's impossible. But look, check it out. Even on here, South America on that side, right? Back to the center. Africa's on this side. And of course, we know around the other side, Australia's right here. They put this pyramid shit here, this tetrahedron, that's even in the old maps. Look up top. Boom, pyramid. It's a connector. The connector. Even on this one, pyramid, because you can't express a pyramid from down, so they would put it at the top of the map. Right? Even here, it's showing you sketches of the cosmos, the shape of the earth. Here, same thing, mountain. Here, same thing. Even in NASA, on January 5th, 2021, I clipped this from NASA. They're telling you this is the shape of the earth. Look at all the southern continents at the bottom. They're at the bottom and close to the what? Ice. See that? See for that portion right here? This is where Union Glacier is. It even got the little, this is the ice. You see that? So look where they put the ice at, even on their display. They're in space. The land has altitude going towards the north. They traversing around that. So this is here. Same thing here, same thing here. This is what the earth is doing. It's moving like it's go up in a cone like a mountain. I'm echoing. Where? Let me see. Here. Mic check. 1 2. Can you hear me? 1 2. 1 2. So you seeing that all of the continents still are in their respective areas when leaving the north, heading. So, but check this out. Here's the most, even on this map, most of the land is connected in the north. But down here, see, Australia is still far as hell away from South America and Africa. So I don't believe that this is the actual reality. This is not the reality of it all. I believe that all of this is a circle that's wider. And so overall, what it turns out to be is that this is what we get. So this was this world map made 10 centuries ago. So this is a so-called 10th century map. It was a newspaper clipping. And I looked at it, and this is what we get. The earth is at the top of a greater pyramid. And to go south, to go beyond Earth realm, you would be going further out away from the center and even further down. And even more further downward. Yo, what up, Unc? I'm good. So this is the more land, the extraterrestrial lands. Now, check this out. Let me do this right quick. Go there. I'll show y'all something. I found this very, very interesting. Is this it? The Great Pyramid. Okay. I'll find it. Very, very interesting. Uh-oh. This one. Right. You hear that? So that's BS. How is how is the is mimicking a pyramid? It's the model of a pyramid, you idiot. It's not an oblate spheroid that it's oh my god. Because they tell you that it's a spheroid. You think that's what it's getting, but that's not what it's getting. That's BS. It's the representation of the earth as a pyramid. They're just trying to make it a globe, bro. It's crazy what they're doing. Like, listen, 3 plus X equals 5. All they do is take X. They don't give you the answer. They just take X and put it where 3 was. Now it's X plus 3 equals 5. You only experience 5. The earth is a pyramid. Look, let me show you what this guy did here, man. This guy here, I showed it several times. But this guy, what he does is he takes the earth as a globe and he separates it into 96 tetrahedrons, 96 triangles. And then he creates a pyramid out of it. Then he flattens that pyramid. Now, his point for doing this was to create a map, a flat map that would not like obscure the land or the water, because going from a globe to flat, you're going to obscure one or the other. But what he does is he corrects it. He just takes the globe in its perspective format the mathematics that they tell you. He breaks it down into 96 triangles and he makes it into a tetrahedron. When he makes this tetrahedron, he's now able to flatten it so that it don't distort the water or the land. Why does he have to turn it into a tetrahedron? Because it's a fucking pyramid. The earth is clearly and literally, once you study all mathematics, they're going to lead to a pyramid. You know, I don't know why they're doing it. I don't know why it's done, but that's what's happening. froze up. Hold on. I don't know why it keeps freezing on me.
地球があります。球体を96等分します。これは96等分でも600等分でも等分数が多ければ多いほどいいんですが、この説明用には96等分したものを使います。一個一個の細長いこういう三角形の
So he
白いラインで
transformed into a tetrahedron. This is what he said. Divided into spherical
全体
regions
の96
that are
分の
measured.
1を保っているという
So
面積を保ちながら
so he takes the measurements of the
放射投影というのを
regions
行って
and then he
こういうおにぎり状の形
proposes
に
them, he
書き写します
imposes them on this tetrahedron. So where it's dips and all of that, he puts it on this
静止面体という
tetrahedron.
ものに、さらに、ブラジルが今右端ですけれども、ブラジルを中心にするためにビューアーをスライドさせたり、ひし形正三角形に変形させて南極を中心にした世界地図ですとか、アフリカを中心にした世界地図をビューアーをスライドさせて、新たな世界地図を切り出すことができる。このように
See that? Nah. Nah, ain't no scale model of the northern hemisphere. See, because these bottom portions of the hemisphere that they trying to make a globe flare out into the corners of all of the pyramid. Now that's some bullshit, bro. That's what I'm trying to tell y'all. All the proportions. It's a scale model of the northern. No. It is the exact model of a pyramid because that's what the creators created. Well, I don't know if they angels. I don't know if they aliens. I don't know what they are. But everything is showing you that the earth is a machine. It's a machine that generates an electromagnetic field. It's like because you got to look at what we're like when you get down to it. Look at my plasma souls and stars video, man, and you will see that like the material that I showed you. I'm not just offering conjecture. I'm showing you what scientists are saying. They're showing you that all of this is intermingled. They're trying to keep you from this truth. The sun is plasma. What does that mean? You don't understand what that means because you don't understand what plasma is and how, man, everything is plasma. Now, everything that is created is plasma, and plasma attracts matter, which is how we exist today, that is what attracts us from the beginning, from conception. When I told y'all about let me show you a zinc spark. See that? That's the soul going inside of this. But this happens on all levels. Even in space, this is happening. Everything is happening like this. Not particularly in this aspect, but ionization and material attracting to the ionization, the actual plasma itself, that is putting a film over this egg right here. That happens in space. If you look at if we consider, look, is my camera on? No, where's my camera? If we consider what they tell us, I'll look it up. Watch this. I'm gonna do it right now. I know what it is, but I'm gonna do it right now. I'm gonna show y'all something. What is the what's that radiation belt called? Radiation belt called? Xenon belt or something. Radiation belt. Where's the radiation belt called? The Van Halen radiation. All right, watch this. Watch this. What does it consist of? Watch this. Van Halen radiation belt consists of a zone of high energy charged particles. What is charged particles? Primarily protons and electrons trapped by Earth's magnetic field, forming two distinct belts around the planet. Now, what is charged particles? It consists of a partially ionized gas containing ions, electrons, and neutral atoms. All right, so watch this dialogue that I give ChatGPT. I'm about to give him this work right quick. What is the Allen belt Okay, the Van Halen radiation belt are composed of primarily high energy charged particles, mainly electrons and protons, that are trapped in an electromagnetic field. These particles originate from solar wind and cosmic rays. So solar wind is plasma. Particles, plasma, and cosmic rays, all the same thing. The belts are divided into two main regions. Now, it says located around 1,012 kilometers, 600 to 7,000 miles above the Earth, 7,000 miles above the Earth, contains a high concentration of protons with energies that can reach up to hundreds of mega electron volts. It is more dangerous to spacecraft and astronauts due to their higher particle density. It says outer Van Allen belt extends to 13,000 to 60,000, 8,000 to 37,000 miles above the Earth, contains mostly high energy electrons, which can pose a threat to satellite and electronics. This belt fluctuates in size and intensity depending on solar activity. The belts are shaped, so let me see this. So it says the belts are shaped by Earth's magnetosphere, which captures and holds these energetic particles in a toroidal donut-like shape around the planet. The intensity of the structure of the belts can change due to space weather events such as solar flares and geometric storms. Right, so all of this electromagnetic activity is not, watch this. So essentially, this is plasma. Yes, essentially, the Van Allen belt can be considered a form of plasma, as they consist of high energy charged particles, electrons, and protons, moving within Earth's magnetic field. Plasma is defined as ionized state of matter where free electrons and ions coexist, and particles in the Van Allen belt meet the criteria. In the belts, these charged particles are influenced by Earth's electromagnetic forces, causing them to spiral along a magnetic field lines, bouncing between poles, drifting, blah, 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 blah. Dynamic plasma behavior. Now, this is the belts interact with the solar wind, the Earth's atmosphere, and magnetosphere, contributing to space weather phenomena such as auroras, radiation, and hazards, right? So this is the sun. Solar wind comes from the sun. This is the whisking that I showed you in the magnetohydrodynamic video, that whisking of the sun as it leaves its aura behind, and the atmosphere is affected by its leaving, right? So I showed you that. And watch this. If the Van Allen belt is plasma, that would mean it is solid or affects matter like a solid. Yes? Yes, in a way, plasma can exhibit solid-like properties under certain conditions, but it is not a solid in a traditional sense. Plasma is often referred to as the fourth state of matter, distinct from solids, liquids, and gases. However, plasma consists of charged particles interacting with electromagnetic fields. It can exhibit behaviors that resemble solid-like characteristics such as confinement and structure. Van Halen belts are structured and held in place by Earth's magnetic field, which gives them defined shape and region, much like a solid structure confines matter. Y'all didn't know that, did you? I'm showing you something. Interaction with matter. Plasma in Van Halen belts can affect spacecraft and blah, blah, blah. Yes. You're not going through the Van Halen belt because, watch this. Electromagnetic plasma can exert force on objects within it, much like a solid exerts pressure. For example, the charged particles can generate electric and magnetic fields. I'm trying to get to something. However, unlike a true solid, plasma remains highly dynamic and fluid, meaning its particles are in constant motion, corresponding to charge frequency. So, if the Van Allen belt is a plasma, it must attract matter in those temp in those sub all right. So if the Van Halen belt is a plasma, it must attract matter in those subconducting conditions. Eventually, solidifying. Interesting perspective. If the Van Halen belt is considered a plasma, then yes, it interacts with with matter in unique ways due to its charged nature. Plasma, under certain conditions, can indeed attract matter through electromagnetic forces, and in highly conductive environments, it may lead to the accumulation or coalescence of particles. However, whether it would solidify depends on several factors. Electromagnetic attraction. The charged particles in the Van Halen belt can influence neutral particles and even attract certain types of matter, especially those with conductive properties. This could potentially lead to localized accumulation of materials, forming temporary structures or influencing atmospheric particles. Plasma cooling and recombination. If plasma were to cool significantly, electrons could recombine with ions to form neutral atoms, which could, in theory, lead to condensation and eventually solidification under the specific conditions. However, in the near Earth space environment, high energy inputs from the sun keeps the plasma in an active ionized state, cosmic dust and particulate capture. Some theories suggest that plasma fields like the Van Halen belt could trap cosmic dust and charged particles, leading to the gradual buildup of particulate matter over long periods. This might result in regions of denser, possibly solid-like structures. Okay, how long did that take? How long has it been? Sky, atmosphere, self-organizing plasma structures. Plasmas has been observed to form filamentary or lattice-like structures under specific conditions. These self-organizing behaviors might give the appearance of a solid-like barrier without actually being one in a classical sense. In conclusion, while the Van Halen belt plasma could interact with and influence matter through electromagnetic attractions and recombination process, the condition of near-Earth space, constant solar wind, lacking of constant cooling mechanism, the Earth magnetosphere dynamics likely prevent, because they created all of these things so that you don't see the actual thing that's happening. Of course, you're not going to see it. But how can you have the Van Halen belt, right? And then back to the video where is the Van Halen belt what is creating the sun's reflection, and we can get rid of the sapphire firmament, and possibly it's the Van. I want the truth. I don't want to just go with a narrative or something that I want the truth, right? But it's something to ponder on, because you can have it. You can have it. So this guy here, this is the video where he goes through the process, the actual process of turning sphere to pyramid, right? So my whole reason for showing you that is the pyramid shape. So if we have the sun revolving around the earth and is creating this analemma, the outcome of the obvious, or the perception of the earth being shaped at least like a cone is obvious. It's obvious. I'm just getting some of this stuff out the way. I want to get all of this information out, because I want to move on to something even more fanatical, something more fantastic than the shape of the earth. It's so boring to me. I've been studying this for 6 years. If I go through let y'all see my, hold on, where's this video at? Hold on, where's it at? Where is it at? So all of these people are finding hold on. That's not so that's an assumption based on what they already think they know. The earth doesn't move. It's the sun that revolves at that time. And I showed a video that shows the correlation of the sun's movements and time itself in the video already. So it's not the earth revolving. I just wanted to point that out. That's not my perspective, but I do want to point out how so many people are showing that the pyramid, the Great Pyramid, is a scale model of the earth, and we're relating it to a circle. The only circle is the thing that the pyramid is in. The pyramid sits within a circle, but itself, the pyramid itself, is not a circle. It's not they're lying. That's the part that's tripping me out. Let's do it. Absolutely. And it's a pyramid. It's not a globe. The the earth is not a freaking globe. It's a pyramid. That's what it is, bro. It's everything that you're going to come up with. The way the sun travels around the earth, the way the moon travels. Hold on. Stop. You can believe what you want. You can believe that the sun is 93 million miles away and a million earths can fit inside of it. And then it can shine its light to one beam across the fucking galaxy to earth. And it's just, yeah, bro, whatever. Do that. But everything is pointing towards pyramid earth. Okay? That's what it's doing. How long I've been going? I've been running a minute. We're going to have to call it a time. I'll be back a few minutes in about an hour or so with something new. Peace.